It's time for the Big 12 Championship!
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats pregame show. Why don't we go ahead and switch out that logo, my guy Kevin Thomas here. Of course, we're met and joined by the always great Erica Day on this pregame show edition of the Big 12 Championship game. Arizona taking on Houston. Houston, of course, the juggernaut of the conference, been the number one all year, but I think we're all feeling, I would assume, a slight confidence today and juiced up after, the last couple wins here in the last 2 days. Erica, Kevin, we got the whole crew here. How are we feeling?
I'll let Erica take the floor. Special guest goes first. Erica, how are we feeling?
How nice of you, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm pumped up. I woke up feeling a little nervy. Me and my roommate were discussing the game and what could happen. But then after we went on a little voyage, adventure out into the great unknown of the outdoors. And after that, the vibes have just been up, boys. Like I cannot tell you enough. And then I was watching some preview videos, locked on here, there, whatever. And honestly, all the Houston people seem a little scared in their boots. So I'm feeling juiced. I'm feeling ready. I feel like the guys are ready. And that tweet that Saul put out this morning, with the facts courtesy of Arizona basketball, like that just got me even more juiced. Like when you put it all in the words like that, I'm like, man, their chances are actually pretty freaking good. Like we're here.
I'm actually with you, Erica, and I want to go in, and this might be surprising to Damon specifically, but I want to go in on the Houston scared angle because look, I think Kelvin Sampson is scared.
I was about to just go in this exact same spot, Kevin.
Did you see what the man said today? The man fixed his mouth and said, the game tomorrow night doesn't determine who the Big 12 champion is. The regular season determines who the Big 12 champion is. And then he went on to be like, well, what do we play the 20 games for? What do we play these games for? To be the champion of the tournament, to determine who's the best team heading into March in the conference. I get that, like, Juwan Roberts is going to be out with an ankle thing, and Kelvin Sampson is a big-time health and, rest during this time kind of coach. I respect that. Kelvin Sampson, I'm not trying to, he's one of the best. I'm not trying to disrespect him. But that kind of surprised me because he's already kind of forfeiting that if they win, it doesn't even matter.
He's hedging his bets a little bit,
Which is kind of crazy, is it not?
Yeah, it is.
I don't hear anyone from Arizona saying that. Like, my whole thing all day has been like, I don't really get that. This game matters a lot. Arizona just beat Kansas, just beat Texas Tech. And if they beat Houston, you're going to tell me that doesn't matter? That's crazy. That's a big-time accomplishment. So, yeah, I think Houston, I don't think they even really care. Honestly, I'll say it.
Lots of respect for Houston, that program, Kelvin Sampson, but just a teensy little bit soft. No, Kevin? Covering your tracks like that before the game even started. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'd say that the Big 12 championship is, the regular season. I'd say it's the championship game, personally, Mr. Sampson. But I think Tommy Lloyd and the Arizona Wildcats are treating it as such. And I think that they've had this one circled. I think specifically against Houston, Kevin, we talked about this briefly last night. Like, I think that this has played out the exact way that Arizona has wanted it to play out. They just lost to Kansas. They got their revenge against them. Then they got to take, it to a Texas Tech team that, it was a real rubber match, 1-1 in that series through the regular season. And they got to win that series, I think, and take the bragging rights of that as well. And then now you got Houston, who you lost your sole game to in the regular season, but easily could have won that game. And now this one's for all the marbles. So I think that this is how they drew it up. And I would imagine that they've been chomping at the bit for this exact game headed into this one.
Erica, I'm gonna let you have the floor again. I don't want this to be me and Damon just going back and forth and you kind of listening. So what do you got on the Houston being terrified?
Well, listen, I got my notes prepared. I've been studying all morning because usually when I come on the show, we're talking about what already happened, and I don't really have to do much studying, you know. But this morning, I was like, Kevin's gonna have these stat lines prepared, and I
Yep.
gotta have something to come back at him with. So I will say this, you know, in that first matchup, it was an ugly game, probably one of the ugliest games we saw all season. You know, Arizona arguably was on top, was the better team for 35 minutes. So if Arizona can put together a full 40 minutes, I fully believe in Arizona's ability and capability to win this game. That said, one of Houston's best shooters did not score a single point versus Arizona when they played us, what, about a month ago, and in Emmanuel Sharp. And so I do expect at least an Emmanuel Sharp revenge game from him. But outside of that, I'm not really scared of the Cougars. But I think when you're a good shooter, a good player like him, and you don't play to the caliber of which you want to in an environment like the McHale Center, you want a revenge game. So I feel like this will be a good game for him. But I hope Arizona is able to kind of put the stops on someone else, so that he can have his, but nobody else gets theirs.
I will say that, I think that you guys are taking the alternate route. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. They do scare. They scare the shit out of
Oh
me,
yeah,
to be completely honest with
Houston
you.
scares the hell out of me for sure.
I mean, you got the
Yeah.
way that they played against BYU yesterday, I think is all that needs to be said. They get a 20-point W against BYU. That game's over 10 minutes into the game. And I'll be honest, Kevin, like I thought BYU was going to win that basketball game because I kind of thought Houston was maybe going to take somewhat of a lackadaisical approach, having won the Big 12 already, the regular season, as Kelvin Sampson is, you know, often alluded to at this point. But they go out and they just step on BYU's throat at the beginning of the game, make it no contest. And I think that, it shows that they are somewhat locked in. Maybe they're just scared of the Arizona Wildcats. Who knows? But yeah, that game scared me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I do think that this is going to be a dogfight. I do think that the spread, Kevin, I'm sure you're locked in on the spread. I think it's kind of disrespectful.
Eh,
You don't think so?
we can talk about that. We
Yeah,
can talk
let's
about
do
that
it.
kind of stuff because I actually think that if you're gonna bet on Arizona in this game, I think there are two routes to do that. You bet either the over, because if Arizona's gonna win, they're gonna score more than 70 points. If Arizona's gonna win, and I think the over right now is like 134 and a half,
Oh,
something like
well,
that.
I'll stop you there because Arizona should have won the last game and they only scored 58. So
I
had
get you. No, I
had
get
they
you.
have won that game, I think they would have been in the in the mid 60s range. And then that's not hitting 70. Last time I checked,
The other
Kevin.
option,
All right.
if you don't like that, the other option is straight up money line. Because I actually don't think if Arizona loses this game, they cover the 7.5 or 5.5 or whatever it's dropped to now. Because Arizona has not covered the spread in any of its 11 losses this season, Damon.
Wow.
9 of the 12 victories in Houston's winning streak that they're currently on have been more than 7 points as well. So I'd be cautious about like hammering the 7.5, 5.5. Maybe the 5.5 actually could be kind of juicy, but yeah, wherever you're finding those lines, hopefully with our friends over at Bet365. But I'd be scared of that 7.5. I would just go money line if you think Arizona's going to have a chance in this one. But
It's decent value there.
I should what are you going to be on, Damon? Because I'm on the over and I'm on Arizona money line for sure. I mean, those are the two I just gave out. You seem to be more of a supportive of the spread. You know what I mean? How are we feeling?
Well, I got it yesterday at 7.5 with our friends at Bet365. It's now at 5.5. What is it? 20 minutes out to tip. So I feel decent about that bet. I'll be honest, even though, the great Kevin Thomas doesn't exactly love it. That's fine.
Hey,
At the end
I
of the
hope
day,
it hits. I hope it smashes.
I hope your money line smashes, brother.
Same.
But I do think that just from a pace perspective, the way Houston plays, it's hard for me to believe playing a good team as good as Arizona that they're going to just blow Arizona out, because the way Houston plays, a 20-point win that they got against BYU yesterday, I mean, that might as well be a 40-point win, Kevin, with their pace. So like, I think that 7.5 in this game is a little bit bigger than 7.5 in, a typical Arizona basketball game. But, I think that they should be able to cover that big of a spread. Erica, I know this is spread talk. I don't know how locked in on it you are, but you think Arizona gets within, 8 points here, 7 points?
I actually had down that the Ken Palm. It was all part of my notes. I knew that Kevin was going to bring up the betting. I would never
Mhm.
bet against Kevin, just so everyone knows. I take all my betting advice from Kevin Thomas himself.
For
So
better or
whatever
worse.
Kevin
For better or
said,
worse.
yeah. And you know what? Even if I send him some ridiculous parlay, he still says go for it. So I appreciate that, and his enabling my ridiculousness. So I'm gonna enable his ridiculousness today, and whatever he said is absolutely correct. A lot of what you guys are saying is a little bit gibberishy though to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Not locked in on all the plus and the minus and the the hook is gonna get you. You're really interested in all that. All right, that's fine.
You
But
were literally proud of me yesterday for knowing what money line meant, and I was like,
that's true. That is true.
yeah.
This is true. I will say though, we probably should talk keys to the game. 20 minutes out from tip here.
Well, let's look at our team preview we have first here,
True.
Kevin.
Let's do that. This is our team preview, Damon. What you got for us?
Yeah, of course, Houston 29-4 overall in the season, 19-1 record in conference. Doesn't include their last 2 wins here against Colorado and BYU the last couple days. They are the 10th ranked offensive team in the country, 2nd ranked defensive team in the country. Good for 3rd overall ranking, which I find kind of surprising, Kevin. How could you be top 10 in both offense and defense and be 3rd? But that's just the nature of college basketball this year, I guess. And then 360th out of 364 total teams in tempo. I think that sets the tone right there for you. And then kind of a lower strength of schedule than I think a lot of Big 12 teams have showcased this season. But yeah, Houston, obviously one of the better teams in the country, Kevin. And Arizona's going to have to come out there and play up to that level, which I think that they have done a good job at when they played the truly elite teams, minus the Duke game this season.
No, I agree with you, Damon. And I think another statistic that really is going to bear out importance in this game is Houston is 2nd in the country in extra scoring chances. So that's not just second chance points. That's creating additional scoring options. That's a steal in transition.
Yeah.
That's an extra scoring chance for your team that was not expected just on the per possession.
And that tracks.
It does track, yeah. And they're a bunch of dogs. Like I was kind of being facetious earlier about they're scared. Houston is not scared of this basketball game, right? That kidding about that, y'all. But Houston's a hell of a team. They're an incredible team, national title contender that Arizona's facing today. And if Arizona bests Houston today, that's a huge accomplishment as well. Like I said, 2nd in the country in extra scoring chances. So taking care of the ball, like against a team like Houston, as you laid out, they're very efficient. You cannot give them freebies in that way. You got to take care of the ball. And Damon, that's what I feel like is the most important stat, the extra created chances at plus 7.9 per game.
I think the turnover margin in particular could be huge, Kevin. Specifically looking at that, like Arizona has had a tendency at times, I think, to give up the ball in bunches this year. They need to take care of the basketball if they want to, have a big tournament run in March. And yeah, I think that Houston is pretty much the ultimate competition when it comes to attempting to take care of the basketball for the reasons that you laid out there, like deflections, steals, all of the above. If you are in the chat, thank you so much for being here. Make sure you guys drop us a like if you haven't done so on the video already. Only 15 likes right now. I think we should have a lot more than that. Gearing up for a Big 12 championship game. I want to shout out my guy Glenn in here, ASU fan Glenn, watching the show, watching his favorite college basketball team, as all ASU fans. That's their favorite team. 11 regular season losses. Damon feels the spread is disrespectful. This team has been a different team in conference play versus non-conference play. They were awful in non-conference. If you can't see that, I don't know how to help you. But thank you, as always, Glenn, for being in the chat. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Saul Bookman here in the chat as well. Both of these teams are locked in during warm-ups. Love it.
Saul's locked in during warm-ups.
Saul's been locked in for a damn week now, Kevin.
Facts. I mean, he might as well just put in a change of address request with
I was
the
going to say, you
USGS.
might as well buy some property in Kansas City.
Does Carol Royce do Cross Nation? Because
we're about to find out.
Might have to call Carol.
Saul, of course, bringing you all the best coverage. Posting from our beat account, posting from his personal account. Follow him at Saul_Bookman. I have here on KenPom, Erica, you mentioned it earlier. KenPom has Houston winning this game by a 7-point margin. So right on that original spread line there. I'll be honest, like I hope that they're kind of talking about this in the locker room, guys. Like I hope that Tommy Lloyd is. I don't want to say like spread watching because I don't necessarily want my coach to be doing that.
We do not want another FBI investigation.
Correct.
David, no.
But I do think that show them the predictions of what the analysts, I'm sure they're all picking Houston, like show them that kind of stuff. I think that this team is a team that would respond well to that and come out with a little bit more fire, having seen the lack of respect. I don't know about you guys, but I do think that is the vibe of this particular team.
I think it is. I think that I don't know if Tommy Lloyd's doing that. I don't know if he's that kind of coach, but
Yeah, I don't know either.
I do think that this team is being incredibly underrated. I think we've talked about this at times this season, Damon. It's kind of their own fault with the inconsistency of which they've played. But we know it. Everyone that's watched Arizona game in, game out knows that this team can come out and beat anybody on any given night. And they should know that. And I think they do feel underrated. I mean, this is a team that's won 12 straight. Houston's won 12 straight games. You should be the underdog in this game if you're Arizona.
Very
And I
much
think
so,
that
yeah.
that's a spot that they've shown that they can excel in time and time again this year. When their backs are against the wall, they can make the fight back even greater than it was before. So yeah, I mean, Erica, what do you think about the underdog mentality that Arizona can show today?
You don't give yourself the nickname Gritty Boys unless you want to fight and have a dog fight and mentality. And so, I mean, this team is built for this, man. I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like there's no other matchup that Arizona would has an opportunity to succeed in with that mentality more specifically. I think that there are a lot of teams that the big media might say, "Oh, Arizona can win that game," but this positionally is a tough game for Arizona, and I think they have a lot to prove, and they know that, and they have a chance to. And like I said, I expect a good night from the Gritty Boys today.
Sorry to cut you off there, Damon, but speaking of the grittiness that this game is going to entail, I kind of wanted to talk about another stat. But in the last 12 meetings on this win streak for Houston, they have not allowed a team to score more than 68 points at all outright. And the Wildcats over that same stretch have gone 85.3 points per game in their last 8 outings since losing to Houston, and they're 1-2 in games where they score lower than 80 points. So it feels like if Arizona is kind of slowed down, and we know that Arizona excels when they can speed things up, it does kind of feel like Houston gets a lot scarier if Arizona isn't able to find routes to get out in transition and speed the game up.
I'm looking at the last Houston matchup here versus Arizona, and some things that are popping out at me. Trey Townsend, 3 points. I think, we've seen this resurgence from Trey Townsend recently. How does he match up against the athleticism of a Houston team and that sort of physicality? Can he keep the good vibes rolling here in the month of March, which we all know is his month? But on top of that, you got Tobe Awaka with 0 points. I wouldn't expect that to continue. Jaden Bradley with 4 points. I think you need to have him with a much better game in this matchup, because Houston's guards are really, really good, and they're going to put up points on the board. I think Caleb Love is kind of finding that groove, right? And obviously, we know that this team goes as Caleb Love goes, so it goes without mentioning. Yeah, you need to have a good Caleb Love performance tonight. But if Jaden Bradley and Caleb Love can combine for more points than LJ Cryer and Milos Uzan do, I think that's where you have to watch out maybe and say, Arizona wins this basketball game. But another guy that we've talked about, and I think he has kind of been talked about as a Houston type player, Kevin. We've talked about it plenty of times on this show.
Our guy.
KJ Lewis feels like he belongs on Houston for some reason. He looks like he's about 27 years old. He looks like he's been an NBA player for 5 seasons. And just a dog on defense. And just someone who brings the intensity on every possession. Last game, KJ Lewis was 4 for 12 at 13 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. It was a good game for KJ Lewis, but I think that he needs to out Houston tonight. That's what I need to see out of KJ Lewis. Like beat them at their own game, and I think that's going to be KJ Lewis's role. I don't expect the whole team to match that intensity, but I'd love to see KJ Lewis kind of present some problems for Houston in the way that Houston presents problems for every other team that they play, essentially.
You spoke to the guard play, Damon, and our guy Glenn, noted, huge Wildcat fan, also said in the chat that Houston packs the paint, right? And that's very true. Houston allows, I think, one of the lower percentages of 2-point makes in the nation. And Arizona, obviously, we know really cannot shoot the 3. But you spoke to the guard play.
But
if Caleb Love can get his perimeter game going in this one, if Arizona is able to maybe get a couple 80 threes, even just any perimeter offense will do for Arizona in this one, because Houston is incredible at slowing down people in the paint. Juwan Roberts not playing, like basketball football guy says, actually plays into this as well, because it kind of lessens the emphasis on perimeter shooting for Arizona in this game, because the physicality, we know Tobe Awaka is going to bring it. We know Henry Vesar is going to be intense as well. So I think it does come down to guard play in this one, especially with Juwan Roberts out.
But in that same token, I think, Henry Vasar has to do what he's done all season long, and Tobe Awaka as well to a lesser extent, but take advantage of mismatches in that battle, right? Like, Juwan Roberts is a phenomenal basketball player. He's been at Houston for 5 seasons now. He pretty much embodies everything about Houston basketball, but Henry Vasar should be able to take advantage of that, that lesser matchup there with Juwan Roberts out. And hopefully, it's a loud night for Henry Vasar, as we've, I think become pretty accustomed to seeing. But getting back to that 3-point shooting, Kevin, 50% from 3 against Texas Tech. I don't think you can, bank on that. I'm not saying that that's necessarily going to continue, but I do think that this team has the opportunity to have a good shooting month here to end out the season and peak at the right time, because I feel like that the shooting that we've seen throughout majority of the season is maybe not indicative of what their level of shooting is for the season. Like, I'm not saying that this team is some unreal elite level BYU style shooting team, but at the same time, I think that they're better than what they've shown, which is, that they're one of the most inefficient shooting teams in the entire country. So I think the answer is probably somewhere in the middle there, but if they can, see some positive regression and keep it going in this game, yeah, that would be huge for against a Houston team that doesn't like to let you get those easy points. It's like Saul mentioned yesterday, like, you'll be flying to the basket for a wide open layup, and all of a sudden, dude's tipping it out of bounds, like Tugler's tipping it out of bounds, and you're just like, where did he come from? He wasn't even close to the primary defender in that situation, but somehow he knocked it out of bounds. I think, we have to expect that. So got to hit some mid-range shots, got to hit some 3-point shots tonight.
My very first key of the game is literally Caleb needs to take a good and diverse selection of shots tonight.
I like it.
Period. Just space the floor well and let us all do what we need to do. Let Henry and Tobe get the rebounds, and then everybody goes to the crib and we're Big 12 champs.
Hell yeah. I love
like
that.
it.
That's a great plan. I mean, shit, I love that. I definitely love that. If Caleb Love gets out here and is mixing in the little floaters that are going swish,
Oh.
they got the 3, maybe a leaner 3. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, I'm totally with you. We've all talked about it at this point. Caleb Love tonight. I think Damon and I specifically have kind of strayed away from calling Caleb Love an X factor in a lot of our previews this season, because we kind of know the player that Caleb Love is, and
Yeah.
we come to expect that, and it's kind of about picking who's gonna help raise the floor of the team as well outside of Caleb Love, right? But I think today, I guess Caleb Love is the X factor in this game, because if he's the knockdown shooter that can create his own shot. Arizona doesn't have anyone else like that on the team, and if you're gonna beat Houston, the perimeter shot has to be working. So yeah, I think Caleb Love is the X factor today. I wanted to raise one more question to you guys before we get out of here. How do we feel about Carter Bryant today? Like, what are we expecting from Carter Bryant? I actually feel like it feels like a good Carter Bryant. Like, I was walking my dog today and I was thinking, it's a Carter Bryant kind of day. Like, I just feel like he's gonna ball out today. Maybe I'm tripping, but like, how do y'all feel about this matchup?
I'm feeling
for
at
Carter
least
Bryant?
one Carter Bryant chase down block.
Love
That's what I'm feeling, because
Love
we've
that.
gotten 2 in a row here, and they've just been injecting lifeblood into me. But Erica, what do you expect from Carter Bryant in today's game?
I expect good minutes and good shots. Dude has never taken a bad shot in his entire time as an Arizona
It's
Wildcat.
honestly a great point.
It really is a great point. Yeah, actually,
Like,
his shot selection
and
is
so
really smart.
I can say that, but it's really nothing new. He's just beating the dead drum at this point. So I just expect Carter to come out and be Carter and hit his shots and continue to show the world that he is unfortunately better than the 19th pick in the NBA draft. Sorry to say.
As long as the world doesn't find that out yet, I think we're good. Like, we know that, but as long as the world doesn't know that he's better than where they're projecting him, I think we're good. Maybe.
That is disrespectful, though, right? 19th. Like, are we serious?
I think so.
I mean, he's the 6th, 7th man on a
short, small sample size as well
on a college basketball team. Like, I understand it. I think the fact that he's in the first round is very indicative of his talent level. And if he was to come back for another season, I think he's without a doubt a lottery pick. So I don't find it too disrespectful, but I do hope he makes a decision of coming back, because I think that his development is truly, his priority in life. And, I respect the hell out of it. So I'd love to see him come back for an extra year. I think it would be good for him and being around Tommy Lloyd. But guys, I think it's prediction time. We're about 5 minutes out from, the designated tip-off time. I'm sure it'll get moved back a little bit here, but I'll start off with Erica, then we'll go to Kevin, and then I'll end it out. But Erica, we're close to game time. The Wildcats have an opportunity to win a Big 12 championship in their first season here in their new conference. It's the premier basketball conference. I don't think, you could just wax poetically about what this would mean for the program. Do you think that they can get the job done tonight?
Yes, I'm taking Arizona in regulation in a dogfight,
Love it.
70-64. I think that 6 point, it's enough. That's a cushion for the Cats. You know what I mean? I don't need them to have a big lead. We see what they do with big leads. I don't want nothing to do with a big lead. In fact, keep it a dogfight, keep it scrappy, let the gritty boys do what they do.
I love that. I'm going to kind of echo some of that sentiment. I have Arizona 74, Houston 67.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what my gut's telling me.
That's what Ken Pom has, but the opposite, actually.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm onto something. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that means I'm not onto something, but I don't know, Damon. That's what I'm going with. And I think hopefully all of my gambles also smash today.
Yeah, I think that I worry. The one thing I'll worry about with what Erica said in her prediction is I feel like this team has struggled, and Kevin, we've talked about this, with when they're in dogfights against these truly elite opponents. I feel like at the end of the game, they kind of let go of the rope a little bit, and they lose those games. I would love to see that change. I really would, but I'm not filled with confidence that it's going to happen against Houston, because we watched it versus Houston earlier this season, and really Arizona should have won that basketball game, and Houston just, they let Houston get to the spots. They wanted to get in late, and their guards just incredible shot making ability. And then Arizona on the other end just kind of fumbled, I think, late. But go ahead, Kevin.
But Damon, it's March. The switch has been flipped. We talked about this last night. I think I've been convinced that Arizona is a team now that can turn up the intensity at their own will. And
enter Trey Townsend.
Enter Trey Townsend. Enter Sandman. No, enter Trey Townsend. That's what I like to say. So I'm with you on this.
Arizona had problems closing out in a very minuscule margin game last time. Well, guess what? Trey Townsend gave you 4 points, and now he's about to give you 18.
Ooh.
I really could go back and forth. I feel like I keep going back and forth on these predictions for the sake of keeping things interesting on this show. I think I'll predict Houston here.
Whoa.
And I think it'll be by a small margin. Last time we predicted a sweep, guys, Kansas beat us. I don't want those same vibes.
Good point.
And so I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Houston 68, Arizona 65. It comes down to the final shot, and Arizona doesn't make it. But here's what I will say before we close out here. Houston will be my pick to win the entire national championship this year, to win the whole thing. Full disclosure, they've been my pick the last 2 seasons as well. I love the way they play basketball. I think it's very set up well for this March single elimination tournament style tournament, right? But if Arizona can knock off the team that I think will win the national championship, I'm ready to get fucking crazy, guys.
Hey,
I'm ready to get crazy on this post-game show. I'm talking about us winning the national championship, and I'm dead serious too, because I genuinely think Houston is the best team in the country. If Arizona can go in a neutral site, take down Houston, and set the tone in the Big 12 Conference in their first season, I'm ready to just get nasty on this post-game show and talk about all kinds of crazy scenarios and how we're going to be cutting down some fucking nets this year. I am juiced up. Let's win this game. Erica, Kevin, thank you guys for joining me on this show. Follow Erica Day at Erica L Day, or is it Lee Day? It's Lee Day. Erica Lee Day. Follow Kevin Thomas at Kevo Post, KVOPOSTS. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Follow our main account at PHNX_Wildcats. Leave a like on this video. We appreciate everybody for stopping by. We will, of course, be live 15 minutes post-game after the final buzzer, hopefully celebrating an Arizona Wildcats Big 12 championship. Thank you to everybody that joined in. Thank you to my co-hosts here on this show, and we will be live for that post-game show. Thank you so much, guys. Peace. Bear down.
Go Cats. Let's go win a chip.
We all silly like the mayor.